Welcome back, friends, to another episode of Lynch Paints, where I, Lynch, will be showing you all how to paint a Leviathan Dreadnought in the Sons of Horus colour scheme. So let's grab our paints and brushes and let's go annihilate some loyalists. But of course you cannot go slaying the loyal sons of the Emperor just fielding grey miniatures. I mean, that's just embarrassing for yourself. What are you doing? So what you should be doing is grabbing these paints here, which I have used today in this video, alongside which you will be needing a medium-sized brush, a finer medium-sized brush, and a teeny weeny fine detail brush for those tricky to reach places. So to start out with, we will base the model in a black acrylic primer. And then what we'll do is that we'll move over to the metalwork. I haven't attached the model to the base yet because I'll be doing the basing later on. And also with the weapons, I have magnetised these. A friend of mine, he wanted 2 of these done, of the range variant anyway. And within the kit, you get sort of 1 of each weapon, but it looks far cooler with 2 of the same sort. But unfortunately, you don't get 2 of the same sort in the box. So we'll start out with the metallics. So what we're going to do is that we're going to want a big fluffy brush like this, and then we want to grab some Iron Warriors base, and then we're just going to want to take a little bit of this, wipe the majority off onto a towel, sheet of paper, or some tissue just works perfectly fine. Stipple off the majority, and then we're going to focus on the metalwork first because this tends to be the messiest part, and then we can clean it up afterwards when we go to paint the base colour. Now, as you're dry brushing, you'll notice that there will be some harder to reach places, and then you can just simply swap out your brush for a smaller size brush just to get into all those little areas of your model. So next, as we are still dry brushing, I'm just going to grab some lighter silver. I'm going to use some of this granite steel, and then using the same brush, I'm going to lightly dry brush, and this will help to highlight some of the metallics that we have been working on previously. So that's the metal work done for now. We will return back to it in a mo, but I thought what we'll do is we're going to grab some Abaddon Black, and the paint I use for the Sons of Horus is from Vallejo, and it's their German uniform. And it is a fantastic colour, and it's probably the closest colour that I've seen to the Sons of Horus green that you see in all the artworks and such. So we're going to add just a tiny little bit of the black into the mixture, just to darken it down, and then we're going to thin our paints down a little bit with some water, and we're going to pick out just a couple of areas. So generally with Sons of Horus troops, I will paint them all in the green, and then their vehicles I tend to leave majoritively black and then pick out a few areas of the green. And this really helps to make them stand out a little bit more on the battlefield, just so then it's not just a sea of green. Now that the top areas have dried, as we've been working our way through, I'm just going to apply just pure German uniform, and I'm going to slowly start to build up the layers. So now for the highlights. So I'm going to introduce a little bit of this blue-grey pale, again from Vallejo. And I'm going to mix in just a little bit into our previous German uniform. And I'm just going to highlight the green areas. I'll probably switch out from this brush to a finer brush just to get some of the thinner areas. But just use whichever brush that you find to be most comfortable with. Alrighty, so now that our big lad has got his Sons of Horus green on, we're just going to go back over the black armour. So for this, we're just going to want a medium-sized brush, bit of black, and that's it. So we're just going to take this and we're just going to tidy up just a little bit here and there. Okay, so now our Leviathan Dreadnought is looking a lot cleaner. And of course, it entirely depends on how grimy you want your Dreadnought to look. If you wanted it to look really battle-worn and beaten up, then you don't have to go over and tidy it up. You can just leave it as is, and in fact add more weathering to it. But this is for a friend of mine, and he wants his Dreadnoughts to be sort of nice and pristine and well looked after. So, continue with the black armour. We're going to introduce some Incubi Darkness with some of the Abaddon Black. And I'm going to want a 50-50 mix, roughly, and thin our paints. And then what we're going to do is that we're going to just start to introduce some of this Incubi Darkness to the black armour through wet blending, or perhaps dry brushing even. Although at this stage, with the fact that we've done the green armour and the metal work, it's probably better to use the wet blending just because it's not as messy. So now that we've done that, we're just going to go over the edges of the armour with just pure Incubi Darkness. Alright, so now that we have that boring part done and out of the way with, we're going to move on to the trim. So we're going to want to grab a nice brassy gold. So I'm going to go with this Brass Scorpion Gold? Brass? Scorpion Brass? I don't know. Basically a darker sort of gold. Pop that over there. And with a medium-sized brush, we're just going to pick out a couple of bits. So I'm thinking like the eye, this sort of skull with the arrows going across from it. Just a couple of little bits and pieces. Also, while we have the gold, I'm just going to go over the Volkite charges that I have in the side. I tend to paint these in a gold anyway, but depending on your chosen style of colour for these, you paint them however you like. I'm just going to give it just a quick heavy dry brush. Doesn't have to be too neat and tidy, purely because they're not the main focus of the model. So now moving on, just to finish off the metallics, just going to grab a tiny brush and some silver, and I'm just going to pick out, and this will take a while, so I'll jump forward, but I'm going to pick out all of the rivets on this model. So as you're going around, just keep your paint watered and just wash your brush out every now and again. This will help just to stop clagging going on, and it will help to improve the longevity of your brushes. Right, so that is done and out of the way with. So now we're just going to grab a little bit of Agrax Earthshade or some kind of brown wash, and we're going to just take a tiny brush and we're going to visit some of these sort of patterns, recesses within the armour, and just pick out a couple of bolts, rivets even, that are just poking out in the armour here. You don't have to do this if you don't want to, it's just an additional step if you want to take it. So one of the reasons why that I use a brown wash is because it has a nice warmth to it, and also it pairs very, very well with gold. So I'm just going to use this just to run over the areas that I've painted gold, including the nipple weapons. Okay, so while the wash is currently drying, we can apply some of the steps that we used for the metalwork for the weapons, including all the washes and such. So it should turn out like these. You will notice that there's a little disc in the middle there, so I've had these magnetized. So then my friend can have whatever weapon loadout he likes, and to be honest, it looks so much better having two of the same weapon rather than two different weapons. That just slots in really nicely there. And you can rotate them, why not? A little bit of dynamic posing there, I'll tell you. So, as it's drying, we can do the weapons. You can go start the base if you wanted to as well. Or if you've already done those and you're a bit ahead of schedule, you can always start painting something else for a little bit, or you can go and make yourself a cup of tea, coffee, whatever your chosen beverage is. So I'm going to go do that, and then I'll be back when it's dry. Okay, so now that the wash is dried, we are going to do a couple of little detail-y bits now. So we're going to grab some green, going to grab a little bit of white, and a little bit of black. And what we're going to do, we're going to focus on the Volkite's and his eyes. I tend to do Volkite in the green, but if you prefer to do them in a blue, then just simply grab a mid-tone blue, and again black and a white. And then from there you can mix in whatever shade you like. So, let's start out with a darker green, and I'm just going to stipple it in just into these coils. Now we're using pure moot green. It's going to do a bit of a heavy dry brush. So keeping with the same three colours here, we're going to do the lenses. So I've just zoomed in a little bit here. I'm going to make a nice dark green. I'm going to grab our fine detail brush, and what angle am I going to have it at? Let's have it like this. And I'm going to cover the majority of the lens in the dark green. I'm going to try and get into this side one. There we go. And then as we work our way up, we're just going to introduce more and more moot green. So we build up our colours lighter and lighter. Alright, so the lenses are done. I did realise that I had gone onto the other lens with a big blob of black, so I had quickly just rectified that. So he's pretty much ready now. All we have to do is add on some icons if you'd like, pop on the weapons and do the base really. I've done one ahead of time just to save a bit of time really. So yeah, I'll just finalise some other little bits, finish off the base, and then we'll be good to go. So I'm not quite done yet. I want to have a little play around with a burnt metal effect I've done this before on a Imperial Knight errant. I'll include a little link for that video either on screen or in the description. So I'm just going to start out with a layer of this Azurus purple, just kind of a thin wash over the top, or finish, and then we're just going to let that dry, and then we'll add in a bit of blue. Yeah, I need to buy some more blue. That's almost dried out. Is when it goes weird and gets all separated. But it will do. It's nice and runny. Right, let's add in just a little bit more blue, just at the very end. So then, this is how I went about painting a Leviathan Dreadnought in the Sons of Horus Legion colour scheme. If you found any of this helpful, insightful, and learned something new along the way today, then do let me know with a thumbs up and a comment as well. Let me know which part was your favourite, which part that perhaps might have been improved on. But yeah, let me know in the comments down below anyway. A subscribe will be massively appreciated as well. If you are new to the channel, welcome, and I hope that you stick around for all the new videos that I'm going to be releasing throughout the rest of the year. You will find stills and reels of this miniature over at my Instagram page at Lynch Paints. There will be a link in the description as always, and alongside that will be my affiliate link with Wayland Games. They are a third-party UK-based retailer, and they stock all of the Sons of Horus, the Horus Heresy model range, the plastic stuff that is, which you can pick up if you wanted to paint along with this video. That would be fantastic. If you wanted to support me a little bit further, then I do have a link for my Ko-fi page in the description below as well. And yeah, check out my other videos that I have for the Horus Heresy range. I do videos as well on the Star Wars Legion game as well. That's really fun as to paint along. And yeah, so I really hope that you've enjoyed, and stay safe, stay beautiful, and we'll see you next time.